Hi guys, this is GSMDome and I'm here with the HUAWEI Pura 70 Ultra. How can you tell it's the Ultra? It's very simple. If you enter the camera, you're going to see that this red ring here means that the retractable camera has popped out. Once you close the camera application, it should go back in as it just did. So this is the flagship from Huawei this year and it goes all out. I'm talking about the biggest battery, fastest charging, biggest screen. So let's take it one at a time. You can tell it's the Ultra, the Pura 70 Ultra, to the crisscross pattern on the backside. It's a polymer silicone. It's basically a leather imitation here. It comes in brown, green, and black. Here we have an aluminum frame, which is 8.2 millimeters in thickness. From what I remember, it's actually 8.4 millimeters thicker than the Pro and then the basic model. It weighs 226 grams, 6 grams heavier than the Pro model, and it's quite easy to handle on account of the extra grip provided here. Now, the frame is aluminum and the front side is protected by a new generation of Kunlun glass, gently curved on the sides and on the corners. The screen is OLED LTPO, and which means you can drop down to 10 Hz or 1 Hz down from the high 120 Hz. The screen here is actually, as I said before, Full HD Plus and Kunlun protected. Now inside the phone we have something interesting. We have the Kirin 9010 processor, which is, well, interesting because it was on the Mate 60 series. We have 16 gigs of RAM and up to 1 terabyte of storage. The version here is with 512 gigabytes. And I also have to mention that this device comes with a pretty generous battery, bigger than the Pro model and the basic model. It jumps all the way up to 5200 mAh with very fast charging. I'm talking about 100 watts wired charging plus 80 watts wireless charging. Not to mention you can juice up other devices from it, both wirelessly and via wire. If you put it on the back side, you're going to benefit from 20-watt wireless reverse charging. Now, enough with these specs. I should probably also mention that it has a fingerprint scanner in the screen, optical variety, and dual setup for the speakers. Now, if you want to talk about the cameras, things are happening here. This is the 13 megapixel shooter with an ultra-wide lens, 4K capture and autofocus, which the Pura 70 doesn't have. The autofocus, I mean. At the backside, there's a lot happening, and I do mean a lot. The main sensor is the one with the retractable mechanism, and it has 50 megapixels. It's a 1-inch sensor with variable aperture between f1.6 and f1.4. There is also laser focused and sensor shift OIS, similar to what Apple is doing. It's moving the sensor around, not the lens, to achieve improved stabilization. There's also the telephoto camera here with a periscope, 50 megapixel in resolution, and helping you with the macro at 5 centimeters. And also it has 3.5x optical zoom. Finally, the ultra-wide camera has its own autofocus. It's a 40 megapixel shooter, and well, it should also help you with the close-up capture. Notice that we have an X-Mage branded here. X-Mage basically took the place of Leica when the partnership ended, and it manifests itself like this, for a bunch of color filters, like Xiaomi has with Leica now, like Apple has when you set up the phone. Original, intense, strident, and mono. Mono is not desaturated, it's rather a sensor side affair. We have videos in up to 4K 60 frames per second, we have the Pro mode and the extra capture modes, slow motion, panorama, light painting, slow filming, documents, dual capture, high resolution, story maker, multicam and super macro. This is actually the variable aperture, and what we're playing with here is this. So you can basically focus on an object which is very close to the camera and blur what's behind it. So with f1.4, the blur is less, so f2.8, f2, and with f1.6 it has the most intense blur behind the object. Not the best example with the finger here, but I'm guessing you get the point. This phone has other features, like one of the closest macros on the market, the ability to fix moving objects, very fast moving objects when you use the telephoto camera, like a Formula 1 car or maybe horses running around. It makes them more clear compared to other handsets out there. And well, there's the whole retractable camera thingy, which you won't see on the market. You can even push it back, it will not break, and it will come back. It has over 100 moving parts. It has water protection. You can go up to 2 meters in the water and still be able to use it without having the water enter this enclosure here. And we're using here Emotion UI 14 on top of Android 14 without Google services, but with Huawei App Gallery, able to let you install something called Micro G to access those services. I should probably also mention that they have a fingerprint scanner in the screen, and it only has 4G in Europe. That's what we're getting here. 5G version is available in China, where there's also satellite connectivity. An impressive phone with this retractable camera. It promises a lot for zooming, macro, snapshots, 10-bit colors instead of 8-bit like the predecessor had, and also it promises you to take clearer shots in zoom of moving objects. That's it from us. This has been a presentation of the HUAWEI Pura 70 Ultra.